So, all this said, is there anything good about Star Wars Saga Edition? Well, yeah. It's a great game, especially if you have players who like the D20 system, who like combat on a combat grid. But once again, you don't necessarily have to. If you just like the idea of the customization and options that you have available in D20 systems, where you've got your not only selection of skills, but you have special feats, and then you have in Saga Edition you've got talents, which are unique to different character classes, which is one of the interesting designs, one of the best designs about Saga Edition actually, is talents. So rather than in D&D, for example, where a particular class inherently gains certain abilities at certain levels, what Saga Edition does is they say, well, okay, instead at every even level, you gain a talent, and pick a talent from this list. So you can gain any talent as long as you meet the prerequisites. Some of them have prerequisites. But when you hit an even level, you don't have to take a set value, a set ability. You have a choice between your big list of talents. So it's, well, okay, what do I want my character to have at this level? And you get to pick and choose. And I think that's really a really awesome design choice from in Saga Edition's favor. And I like that, even though I have my objections to a class and level-based game system, they take the right stance in that rather than creating a whole huge list of particular and complex classes, they really only have 5 or 6, I think it's 5 classes: Soldier, Scoundrel, Noble, Jedi, and I'm missing one, Scout. So you just have these really generalized classes, which lets you as a player manipulate them. So you just take a basic concept that supports the foundation of your character, and then you build all the individual parts on top of it so you can customize. And I'm glad that they went that way. In some of the previous D20 Star Wars editions, they had like 2 or 3 different Jedi classes, where it's, oh, well, do you want to be a martial Jedi? Well, you have to take this class. Or do you want to be a scholarly Jedi? Well, you have to take this class. And I don't think that was necessary. I think that even more so kind of made the classes feel artificial and feel kind of obnoxious in terms of trying to build a character around them. So Saga Edition does a lot of things right. It streamlines the D20 system. Again, like I said, I think it's about the best, cleanest, most quickly playable and understandable rendition of the D20 system that's been published out there. And they did a lot of quality source books for it. I mean, I'll give Wizards of the Coast credit that they created a lot of pretty high quality material and support for the game, and they were releasing books left, right, and center. So, and it has recently gone out of print. For those of you who don't know, Wizards of the Coast lost the license, or rather, they chose not to renew the license for the game. So they're not going to be publishing them anymore after the last book or 2 that they have or are planning to release this year. So if you like D20 and you like Star Wars, and you think Star Wars Saga Edition is a game for you, go out there and pick them up now before they become scarce and the prices jump up on eBay, or Amazon Marketplace, where you're having to spend $40, $50, $60 to get your hands on one of these books. So get them now before they disappear. Like I said, even though I decided that from a game system standpoint it wasn't really a game for me, I kept some of my era source books because there's material in there that's not mechanically dependent, that's just fluff material that is good reading for even using it in my own Star Wars D6 games. So even if you're not into into a class and level based D20 system based Star Wars game, the books themselves still have some application for you. Now granted, if you're running it with D6 or with a Star Wars game with some other system of your own design, the mechanics aren't going to be useful, but the majority of the books generally aren't taken up by mechanical stuff. There's generally maybe a chapter or two devoted to new races, or new species, new equipment, feats, talents, and maybe force powers in some of the force related source books. But by and large, at a good at least maybe 80% of the books are, at least the ones that I've read, are just dedicated to source material, to fluff, to stuff to help you tell a grand Star Wars story. And they paid a lot of attention to detail, and they made some really good quality books. So I was, for the limited time that I was picking them up before my budget just went all to hell, I was very happy with the books that they've released. So I'm keeping these to use in my own Star Wars D6 campaigns in the future. So yeah, I mean, it's a good game. Like I said, D20, and my biases are more from the D20 system and level and class-based systems themselves, rather than from Star Wars Saga. Like I said, it's a much faster and more streamlined way to play a D20 system game, in my opinion, than Pathfinder, D&D 3rd Edition, D20 Modern, and a lot of those other D20 games out there, just because they boil things down for you, so you don't have so many numbers and calculations to keep track of, and so many tables to reference. So, hopefully that gave you some food for thought, Desartis, and please feel free to send me your own reactions, comments, responses, or even questions about anything I've talked about here if you want any clarity on some of the subject matter. And I'm sure this was a very impromptu kind of review / analysis of the game, so I'm sure that I'm leaving out ideas and topics and thoughts that that I might have wanted to present but never did. So if there was something that you wanted to hear me talk about, let me know, and I can go back and amend this video later with some additional thoughts and comments. So, if D20 is for you, it's a good game. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to play on a map. So I suggest, if you have a group that likes D20, pick up Saga Edition. If you're not so much into D20, well, there's a number of other options out there. You can find D6 or some of the other RPGs, or another RPG system that you can plug Star Wars into. Star Wars is notorious for being the game that just about everybody, or just about every game system under the sun, has had somebody convert Star Wars for it. From GURPS to Savage Worlds to Wushu. I've seen Star Wars conversions for Wushu. So because it's very popular. So there's any number of ways to play Star Wars, but if D20 is your thing, then Saga's the one. So thanks, guys, for listening to me ramble on, and I'll let you guys go and chew on that for a while. Thanks.